What's going on, guys? King Trash here, back with another video on the channel, and today we made spaghetti and balls. It's not a good way to say this, okay? It's spaghetti. Oh man, cut spaghetti with 2 large meatballs. Okay, I know 2 large meatballs. Okay, meatballs. But we got 2 large meatballs, ricotta cheese, roasted garlic marinara sauce, and of course spaghetti. I did the thin spaghetti. I prefer the thin. It's a nice al dente, which means it's got a little bite to it. That's how I like my pasta. The inspiration for this meal actually came from YouTube. One of the people that I've been vibing with, been cool with on YouTube, his name is Big Mac. I'll leave his link to his channel on the description. I was browsing through YouTube just for a couple of minutes, and of course his thumbnail pops up and it says spaghetti and meatballs mukbang, and I'm like, oh man. So I commented, I said, bro, I gotta make this tonight. So shout out to you, bro. I know you watch the videos, I watch your videos, so you got good content. If you haven't seen his content, go ahead and check him out. He's putting out good stuff. We got 2 different forks today because everybody likes to make fun of my forks because I use the world's tiniest utensils. So this is my fork, all right? My little tiny fork with the giant balls, meatballs. And this is the fork y'all probably want me to use, like the pitchfork. But we starting with the little boy today, the little dog. We might switch over to that depending on how long the video goes, but these are 2 large... Shut up. Let me just get into one of these. I got some roasted mozzarella on the top. I threw it in the broiler like a salamander kind of deal because I don't have a salamander because this is not a restaurant, but you can see kind of what we talking about with the balls in your mouth. Jesus. Okay, and I also use spicy hot peppers in here because I can't get enough of spicy food, even though I'll be doing spicy food challenges soon. Just shut up and eat. Hold on. Nice spice to that. Super tender. I didn't want to film this because I did something different. I added vegetables to the meatballs. You can't even see them because I fine chopped them, so you can't see them at all. But they're in there. There are actually peas, carrots, onions, celery. That's it. Peas, carrots, onions, and celery. But I used a little bit of a mirepoix. I got to get my nutrients in. I got my vegetables in. So they're hidden in the meatballs. Hidden balls. This is going to be a long video. But I wanted to try. I really, it looked like it hit the spot. So I had to do it. The sauce is obviously going to be in here too. I sauced my noodles and then I threw a little bit more sauce on the top. Over the meatballs, over the cheese. And this right here, if you are not familiar, that, my friends, is ricotta cheese. Ricotta cheese is my favorite to add to pasta, especially with beef, pork, veal, meatballs. These are just beef here, though. It just adds that creamy texture to it. And this is what I grew up eating, though the meat wasn't in ball form. It was more in a regular meat sauce form. I don't know how y'all did it, but that's what my mom used to do a lot. My dad's favorite pasta is also spaghetti bolognese, which is really spaghetti in a meat ragu meat sauce. So that's where I got that from. That is my upbringing. That is my background. Let's get a little of that. Look. I dropped my cheese, but it's okay. We're gonna put it right back on. Y'all don't even notice that. Y'all don't notice it. Table's clean. We always clean it before we eat. That hit the spot. I gotta start watching YouTube more. I don't really watch. But I happened to stumble upon, maybe it was God's plan. I'm not sure. But this spicy roasted garlic marinara. Roasted garlic. Obviously you take garlic and you roast it. And you mince it up. You add it to the sauce. And it's just, I love garlic. And I ain't kissing nobody. We good. Oh my God. Now I know a lot of people, and I added those spicy peppers. If you watch my mukbang I made with the sloppy joes, I use that spicy peppers in there. It's really just a little bit of oil and minced hot peppers. So I added that in here for like a spicy marinara, so spicy roasted garlic. And I'm just trying to give y'all a preview to what exactly I was doing here. But this really does hit the spot. I haven't had pasta in a very long time. Especially just like traditional, well, my tradition. Oh, goodness. This is so good. I still find it funny. Like, I love reading you guys' comments. I do. I read as many as I can. Whenever I'm not working or not busy, try to get in there. And there's still a heavy portion of people that are like, why do you like everything? Well, I'm here to answer that. Number one, because I'm a cheap date. I'm not hard to please when it comes to food. I love all kinds of food, all kinds of cuisines, and I'm someone that eats relative to what you paid for. For example, see if you agree with me. If I go to McDonald's and I get a cheeseburger, I'm not expecting Ruth's Chris filet mignon. You feel me? I'm expecting a cheap cheeseburger. That's what it's supposed to be. And it tastes like a cheap cheeseburger. I like McDonald's. But I'm not going to grade it on the same curve as a place that's a mom and pop that does it by hand, you know, that kind of stuff, or a burger that you would get from like an expensive restaurant where they're using ground filet mignon. Yes, they do make those and it's delicious. Look at this ricotta in here melted. Oh man. Y'all see the steam too? This is hot as hell. I don't care. We play no games. Same thing with seafood, or a difference between going from, you know, a corner Chinese food spot to, you know, a really high-end hibachi place. It's all relative. And I like it all. The other thing is, especially when I'm cooking my food, if I almost knocked over my big fork. Oh my God. That's so good, man. I don't care what y'all say. Look, I wish I could come try it. Because it's delicious. Spicy, tender meatballs, creamy ricotta, roasted garlic. Like, what's not to love? But when you make your own food, and all you out there home cooks, home people who cook food at home, do you make stuff you don't like? Like, when you make your food, are you like, I don't know, I'm being honest. Because if I make something, I season it the way I want to. I'm in the mood for it. You know, the way I'm cooking for content purposes, but also, I was really in the mood for spaghetti and meatballs. So if I make spaghetti and meatballs, I'm like, yo, this is fire. You get what I'm saying? It's not the same thing as, we're gonna clean this up right here because we don't waste food. There's a piece of meatball. It's not the same thing as growing up, or if you're married, you know, but when your mom made something that you didn't necessarily really like and you're like, oh, you know, I know kids do that. But I didn't. I love my mom's cooking, but sometimes I wasn't really in the mood for something. So it wasn't the same thing. You eat it and you're like, it's alright, but you kind of just eating to eat. You know what I'm saying? When you live by yourself like I do, and you're cooking things, you're gonna make it exactly what you want to make. What you're in the mood for. And also, because I only eat one meal a day, I'm making something that, just like this, I saw that video 7 hours, wait, what time is it? 2:51 a.m. I saw that video at about 6:30 p.m. So that's like eight, almost 9 hours, right? I'm bad at math. It might be somebody, I don't know. Look, it's 2:51 a.m. I'm sorry. But when you've been thinking about spaghetti and meatballs for 9 hours and you get spaghetti and meatballs that you made the way you wanted, where it started out as one thing, right? Just normal meatballs. And you're like, yo, let's roast the garlic. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. So you be talking to yourself while you're cooking. I'm telling you, I'll be doing this. Because I cook off feel. That's why it's hard to record eating, because I don't have recipes. I could probably write some down after this, but it's very hard for me to do. But again, I'm like, oh, you know what we could do? Because the roasted garlic was on point, but I want a little bit of spice to it, not too much. My inner voice is like, yo, you got those hot peppers. Throw that in there. Bam, so I smell it now. I don't taste my food before I cook it. So then, you know, I'm plating it up, the smell-o-vision's going, the flavor jets is turning on. Are you here with me yet? Then you sit down, sit in front of the camera. I'm taking pictures of the food. Cheesy thumbnail, so the food like right here, but I don't bite it yet. Gotta let it marinate. I don't even bite it yet. Because I can't bite it yet. Because I don't want to come in here and be like, what's going on, King Tries half eating meatball? No, can't do that. So you can't bite it. But it's close, it's right here. Meatball, cringy, whatever. So finally, I get on here, And I'm looking at this thing I've been fantasizing about for 8 hours. And I'm talking into the camera like a weirdo. And I'm like, oh, it's got the roasted garlic. And then I pick it up. Just stay with me. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Do you feel it? Bite it. And also, these meals that I make, I pretty much eat the whole thing almost every time I'm on camera unless I take too long. I'm gonna have to switch forks though, because this is gonna take a while with this tiny fork. Look at this. Look at that. Get in here. Oh my god. Oh, it's so good. So good. Right, you brown the outsides. Make sure you cook them first, then you drop them in the sauce and let it sit and cook. Smell-o-vision, it just gets in your whole soul, you know. And since it's beef, I like my beef medium. So it's even more tender. Without I use pork or veal, you have to cook it all the way through. With beef, I do not. In other words, these reactions that you see, they're genuine. I'm not trying to sell you. Almost choked on my own meatball. That would have been bad, wouldn't it? Anyway, we at Gito, we don't keep going. I'm not trying to sell you my own food. I really like it. So I just wanted to clarify that. Kind of talk you through it. Kind of where I'm at, why I like it. I really do. This is not a game. Melted mozzarella on there. Got the sauce in the noodles with the pasta water. It's legit. I would never lie. There are always things that I say I might want to improve on something. I don't really have one with this, to be honest. But normally I'll be like, okay, this needs to improve. But this right here, I wouldn't change a thing. Maybe I'll make more meatballs though. I'll put them on a sandwich. I know somebody's gonna say something about garlic bread too. 100% I agree. But I didn't go to the store before this. I had spaghetti already, pasta. And I had ground beef. I always have pasta sauce. No, I had some garlic, or I always have garlic in my house. So, this was kind of a freestyle. Garlic bread would have went nice. Even a sandwich. Y'all do spaghetti sandwiches? No? I don't think I've actually made one on the channel. I used to make them all the time. But I kind of went away from it for some weird reason. I gotta go back to that. Which people find weird that I would take spaghetti. That I would take spaghetti and put it on a bun and eat it. But if I have garlic bread and I use it to pick up the spaghetti and eat it, it's not weird. Never understood that. I mean, I get that whole like, oh, well, it's not to me. Though I did have a cousin do have a cousin when we were younger. He would take his like sandwich, like you know, thinking like a hood sandwich, like a bologna and cheese, a lot of bologna. And he would dip it in like his Kool-Aid or his soda or the quarter water. I don't know about the quarter waters, like a little like jug like this big. It cost like, it used to cost 25 cents. I don't know if they have them anymore, but they used to back in the day. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Kind of like y'all do to me sometimes. And his response was, this all going in the same place? And I've had sandwich in my mouth while I took a sip of soda. But I never thought about dunking it. I still ain't vibing with that. But I don't judge people. Whatever your food thing is, go ahead and do it. Do y'all have a weird food thing you do that maybe other people think you're weird for doing? If you do, drop it in the comments. I'd like to see. Maybe I've probably done it. Maybe I think it's weird. Maybe I think I should try it. But I'm always interested to see your perspectives on stuff too. Because you can't tell what this whole side is missing. Because sometimes maybe it's something that I never thought of doing and I'm just like, hey, see what's up. I don't know what weird food combos you might have. I think I told you guys this in another one, but my mom used to put blue cheese dressing on her spaghetti, which I thought was weird. But, you know, I'm gonna say it's probably like, maybe like 9th grade, 8th grade. She started doing it. Now, I don't eat salad, so I'm not really like a blue cheese dressing guy unless I'm dipping it in wings, but I'm still more of a ranch guy. But I noticed she had blue cheese on her spaghetti next to her salad. We used to always have salad with our spaghetti, but I didn't eat it, obviously. So one day I was like, Mom, why do you have spaghetti with the blue cheese on it? And she said that she would eat her salad next to it and blue cheese would get on the spaghetti. And she was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. So she just started putting it on it. You know what I mean? Which I guess is a party foul, food foul, I don't know what you want to call it. I know people have certain things that you don't do. And the neighborhood that we moved to when I was younger, I grew up, background, I grew up, my early childhood years, I lived in the projects. You know, and my parents, luckily for me, as I got to be like younger, like early teens, I think I was like 7. We moved to the suburbs. So in the suburb that I lived in, it's not like there weren't, you know, it was very multicultural. There's a decent amount of black people, decent amount of Hispanic people, but obviously predominantly white and predominantly Polish and Italian were the two. So I grew up eating a lot of pasta, and they would flip over sideways, the Italian people that I grew up with. My best friend is Sicilian. You've seen him on some of my older videos, but with the restrictions and stuff, he'll be back. Anyway, they'll flip out if you do anything weird, not traditional, to the pasta. Which I get. I think every culture, every ethnicity, ironically, I had a conversation with a client today. My client is Hispanic. And I asked him about a Hispanic restaurant that I was thinking about trying. You know, obviously, he's been eating it since he was a child, so he knows more about it than I do. Not that I never had it, but I asked him, and he said, it's a little greasy, and they don't cook it the way that you're supposed to. And I can understand that, because I think whatever your culture is, wherever you come from, when you have things made outside of your family, you tend to be a harder judge on it. And I was talking about him today, than you would on any other kind of food. For example, if I go to a soul food spot, I grew up eating collard greens, mac and cheese, fried chicken, cornbread, things of that nature you would get at a soul food restaurant. You know, black eyed peas. You know, a lot of soul food miles, especially on holidays. So you tend to judge it a little harsh. Things like oxtails, fried chicken. If I go to a local spot that makes fried chicken and it's not like, you know, it's for lack of better words, when you go to places like that and you don't see a lot of people of color there, you kind of are like, I'm not really sure about this place. And it's not like a disrespectful thing. I think Italians do the same thing. Hispanic people definitely do the same thing, because I had a conversation with both people from that culture today. I've been slayed for making paella non-traditionally by people from Spain, pasta dishes non-traditionally by people from Italy, and so on. So I try not to get offended when I make things like jambalaya and people from New Orleans are like, that ain't it, dog. It's because I kind of get it, you know what I'm saying? And you always interject Man, I'll take you to get some real, you know, jambalaya. I'll take you to get some real fried chicken. We all do it. We all do it. Hawaiians have done it to me for making loco mocos and different stuff. You know, some people will be like, hey man, make it how you make it. In which I'm the same way too. Make it how you make it. You know, like, because Chinese people, Chinese food spots make fried chicken. And it's good. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not really shade. It's just you're a harsher critic because you grew up eating food of that nature. So you feel like you're a little more of an expert in it. I get that. I've had fried chicken that I've eaten and been like, mm-mm. And so on. So everybody's got their cultures, especially if you're first removed from someone from another country or you have like cultural roots here. It just goes that way. So anybody who's Italian who's mad at my meatball that has whatever in it, I'm sorry. I feel you. But let me eat my meatball. I tend to like everything though. Now, I grew up eating so much different food. It was just so great to try, like, you know, I had a close friend who was Filipino, lived around the corner. Close friend who was Jamaican, lived across the street. You know, obviously my best friend was Sicilian. So I had it all. I used to just rack them up on Thanksgiving. You know, my dad's best friend was Puerto Rican. So a lot of times we do things with their family. The one thing that I couldn't stand that he did though. All my Latinos in here. Did you or did you not? Because not everyone did. So I'm curious. Did you grow up in a house that put adobo on everything? Like everything. When I went camping, my family, obviously my dad, my mom, sister, me, and his friend's family, who's Puerto Rican, and we was roasting hot dogs by the fire. If you don't know what adobo is, by the way, people who don't, it is like the all seasoning that Goya makes, and you put it, you know, on a lot of different food. It goes on meat, poultry. I've seen. Anyway, black people, we use like Lowry's. Not really sure what other cultures use, but you get it. Other cultures, you might have to throw this in. I don't know. So we're roasting hot dogs on the fire. And here he come. He got the shaker. He had the music, and he always had the, like, you know, the bachata. On the hot dogs, bro. He put adobo. My dad was like, yo, you're putting adobo on the hot dogs? And he's like, you got to put it on everything. I took one bite of that hot dog. I spit it right out. Personally, adobo is the most overpowering food or seasoning ever. And you put it on anything and it tastes like adobo. So I don't really like it. You know, a lot of black households use Lowry's like that. Seasoned salt. We didn't really use salt. A lot of it growing up. Because like my family had a history of hypertension, high blood pressure. So we tended not to use it. But all my friends did. Another thing we did because we was bougie is, I'm gonna switch to the big. When we made Kool-Aid, because yes, we made Kool-Aid in my house. We made Tang too, but Kool-Aid. Or anything. We would use like Poland Spring water. We had like the water cooler. My mom used to get them delivered. Like we get like 7 coolers a month, you know, like the big, the 5 gallon joints. So all my friends used to use tap water. And the tap water where I'm from, you can taste it. It got an aftertaste. You used to call me bougie because of that. But what did Hispanic people have like an instant drink y'all made too? Did y'all make Kool-Aid or what? I don't really know. I feel like a lot of cultures, we all have like such similarities we don't realize. Like I said, I had my client in today, he's Hispanic. My Sicilian best friend is in our facility too. Same time we're talking. And I'm like, y'all know we all alike, right? We all judge other people's versions of our food harshly. Fried chicken, pasta, you know, pernil, arroz con pollo, whatever. We all have big families that have big gatherings with big dinners, usually around a Sunday. Crazy uncles. Not really much of a difference between cultures. And I think people should realize that. I realized that at a very young age just by going to my friends' houses. At the end of the day, we all just want to get together, share some laughs, share some food with our family and friends. We all do it. All do it. You know, there's not much of a difference. We just do different versions of stuff. Hispanic people might have the adobo. We got the Lowrys. When y'all clean up in the black house, my whole house smelled like pine sol. Everything. Pine sol. She had a bucket. She had a mop. She used weights because you're supposed to use like a gallon of water for like a half of a cup. But we just use the whole thing concentrated. Pine sol. Mop the floors with it. Clean the tables with it. Everything. Pine sol. My Hispanic friends had the Fabuloso. Fabuloso is like it's a container about this big and it's different colors, right? You got the blue, the purple, the reds, but they use the Fabuloso to clean everything with it. I don't really know what other cultures use, to be honest. Again, y'all have to fill me in. Did anybody at your house, did you have like a certain thing you used? Because in my house, it was pine sol. You woke up on Sunday morning, the whole house was hot as hell because your mom was cooking at like 8 a.m. That's in my house. And everything smelled like pine sol and heat. And you couldn't go anywhere because they just mopped there. If you wanted a drink of water, you had to turn into, I think I have like a mosquito bite or something. It just, you had to turn into Spider-Man just to get your own fridge. You'd be up on the counter, crawling, swing the door open, use the webbing, get your Kool-Aid, and get out of there before she's seen you. Because if you put a footstep on that floor, you would hear from, hey, I just mopped in there. Yeah. At least that was my house. You couldn't use it. And all the older people in my family, I went to visit them. My grandma, you know, aunts, whatever. They all had a couch. You couldn't sit on this couch. But then they had another couch. Now, you could sit on this couch. The problem was, the couch was covered in plastic. Clear plastic. And if your grandmother is fortunate enough to still be around today, if not, my condolences. Mine is not. The couch will still have that plastic on it. They ain't taken it off since 1978. The couch still look brand new. And if you fall asleep on that couch, you better believe you're waking up with your face stuck to something. Yeah. That was my house. Gotta be on that plastic. 1978, old ugly ass couch. With flowers on it or something. It was not to play. But that was me growing up. And that was delicious, as you could probably tell. And I need some aloe. Also burned my thumb. You might not be able to see that. No, you can't see it. But there's a burn mark like right there. Can you see it? On my thumb? You see it now? I grabbed the hot plate. I don't use like oven mitts. I burnt it and now it's just like, burnt it. Like no reaction. I have a high pain threshold. So I burnt my thumb. I was like, burnt it. I don't know. I hurt myself. Anyway. That was delicious. Nice to get back to the kitchen. Next time I do this, I will show you how I make it. Since it was a freestyle, I didn't want to do it this time and have you guys making something that turned out that you didn't like it. So, or I couldn't explain. So I did it this time. Spaghetti and meatball. Shout out to Big Mac. That was really good. And with that being said, I gotta be back to work in like 6 hours, man. The grind don't stop. But it is your boy King Shots. We will be back tomorrow. More content. I love you. They hand signs. They made it to YouTube.